We are back with another edition of Game Changers here at CBS Miami. Yes, round of applause from Steve Goldstein, who is in-house, of course, once again. It's time to talk about who else. The man, the myth, the legend. Not you, but Lionel Messi.
A shot right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
You don't even give a chance. Hey, Steve, how's it go? Just. That's why I love you, by the way.
Yes.
An early shot. I like
because we just keep it rolling. We keep it moving. We don't need the pleasantries.
We really don't.
We just start talking crap to each other, and then we'll eventually get to whatever it is we're doing.
Pleasantries are overrated. I agree with you.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But pleasantries aside, Miami did say hello to Lionel Messi this week. We're going to talk a lot about him today and what life will be like here in South Florida for him. But let's start with the Mania and what it'll be like in the MLS to start. Inter Miami's way at the bottom of the ladder here in their standings in the Eastern Conference. Goldie, does Messi's arrival mean that this will automatically change? They'll start to climb up the ladder here.
Well, that's the magic question. Okay, how soon can he adjust? How great is he? I won't use the word good because he's automatically going to be good in the MLS. How great is he? And how does it translate to all the other players on the field and the entire team? I would think his presence alone would just raise everybody's, you watch practice, and it's got to raise everybody's intensity level. I mean, you're seeing, and this guy, by the way, not only is a great player, the greatest, but he works as hard as anybody. And that's what you need to have a great team. Your top players need to be your hardest workers. So there'll be, and I'm not saying there is now, Mike, but there'll be no slacking in practice.
Yeah.
In practice, everyone's trying to keep up with them. In the locker room, everyone's trying to keep their intensity up. The whole level has been raised. But the magic question is, how quickly can one guy, we know in basketball it's very possible.
Right.
Other sports, well, maybe if you're the goalie in hockey or the quarterback in the NFL, but how quickly and how much can one person turn the program around in the MLS? And that's the question.
I think you made a really good point about just the locker room and practice itself, because, soccer fans know the level of play he's at and the level of competition he sees on a daily basis, or used to see. These guys wanted to be him. They wanted to be in those leagues, his teammates. They're not. They're here in the MLS, which is trying to grow and trying to get better, themselves. So do you want to look like the weak link on the team in front of someone who's your idol? Because guarantee, if you ask all those guys, who's your favorite player ever, he's probably in the top two for all of them. It's probably Ronaldo, or it's probably Messi. They might say themselves too, because they are professionals.
They'd be third.
They are professionals. But I think something David Beckham said this week was interesting, and it rings true to what you said. Was they're going to see him be the first guy there. They're going to see him be the last guy there. They're going to see the way he works, and that'll eventually rub off on them. It's going to take some time, because Beckham himself admitted, hey, when he showed up in 2007, it's not like they won right away with the LA Galaxy. This is going to be a little bit of an adjustment. Even LeBron coming down here, they didn't win right away, but
pretty close to right away.
Pretty close.
And that's basketball, where one guy changes the whole thing.
Right.
Plays the whole game, can, at least on offense, can have the ball, 70-80% of the time. You could run the entire offense through him. Soccer is a different sport. But from the fanfare standpoint, Mike, when watching this, when he walked into the stadium, it's incredible. It was, you mentioned LeBron.
Yeah.
I liken it to when LeBron came, when they had the big celebration, the famous not one, not two. And what we saw with Messi when he came to town, it was like when Shaq came down Biscayne on the fire truck 20 years ago with the water gun. Yes. So from a fanfare standpoint, it just continues. What really is, because of all the sports, the golden age right now in South Florida in professional sports.
Yeah, you know what? It will be interesting to see if Inter Miami does turn this around. Obviously, this year they're probably not going to win much. They're probably way too far down the line.
No chance?
I don't know how much they'd have to improve to get into the playoffs. Maybe if they get into the playoffs, but they're second to last in the Eastern Conference.
Right. So how far you think it's too far to make it in the regular season?
The mountain might be a little too high to climb now this late. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe next year, we see this, and maybe they end up becoming the first team down here in this golden age to win a title. And wouldn't that be something?
That would be amazing. I mean, our teams have gotten there. Of course, the great run by the Panthers and the Heat and Dolphins seem poised to perhaps make one of those runs. The great thing would be is if they can get it this season turned around and they can make it. Could you imagine being the coach or a player on another MLS team, and all of a sudden Miami sneaks in and we got a home game and
against that
Lionel
guy.
Messi is going. Wait, hang on.
And Jordi Alba.
Like if you were
Busquets.
Like if you were in like a cave, right, a sports cave for the last year, and you woke up that day.
Yeah.
What do you mean Messi's in the MLS on Miami and they're coming to town?
You come out of a coma and Messi's playing on Apple
Right.
on Apple TV.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we're going to have much more on Messi still to come. Goldie, don't go anywhere. Plus, we're going to talk a little Dolphins and NFL running backs, what's going on there. Much more to come here on Game Changers. Welcome back to Game Changers. Mike Cunio alongside Steve Goldstein. We are going to continue talking a little bit more about Messi, the business of soccer that is now here in South Florida. Look at Inter Miami's Instagram now has 10 million followers, which is more than like the Dolphins, Panthers, Heat, everyone combined.
More, by the way, the entire league.
You saw my tweet last night.
I did not see that, but I knew that. Did you tweet? Okay, good. I'm
there
sorry.
You go. There you go.
I should have seen your tweet.
More than the entire league combined.
Did I see a thread from you, or did I only see a tweet?
I might have threaded it as well.
You threaded?
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
Threading. I don't know. Tweeting.
No, I was wondering. No, tweeting we know, but now the threads is out.
You're the social media expert.
Are you?
You're the young one here. You're the one who tells us.
Are you a
happened.
threader? Did you thread? Do you turn it into a verb?
Did you thread the needle?
Do we have any information on this? Not yet?
Not yet. We'll get back to you.
That's another subject.
We'll get one of our correspondents out on that. Okay, I want to talk about the business of this because Jorge Mas and David Beckham, obviously they did an amazing thing in getting Messi down here. What is their ownership legacy going to be? Not just from a soccer standpoint, but business-wise, league-wise?
I think it's still to be written. I still believe, and I know you're not 100% on board because we've talked about this, I still believe you got to win.
Yeah.
I mean, this is great, but if he comes in and he doesn't play great and they don't win, it's kind of like a hype thing, sideshow, late career thing. I still think they've got to win. Now, the fact that they brought the franchise to where it is now that we're talking about it, and Messi is here, they've already accomplished something. They've got to get that stadium built. It's got to be full. It's got to be a success. So I think it's kind of still to be written, in my personal opinion, Mike. But if you're going, you're playing like trends, right? Or like you're looking at a stock, it's trending this way, and the potential of their ownership is literally off the charts. I mean, you got the greatest player ever, first of all, to come. So you've raised the bar for the entire league in your franchise. If you get that new stadium done, and it's the way it looks like it's going to be a fabulous facility. And if it's full, and then you start winning some championships. And I think all of that is anywhere from possible to even probable for some of it.
This is why I asked the question a couple weeks ago. I think off the bat, it was a bigger win for MLS in general, because you're going to get the international subscribers on Apple and MLS TV. All that stuff's going to happen. There's now more eyeballs on your product, first and foremost. Whether the wins come or not, that's more of an Inter Miami thing. But I think overall, Beckham and Mas's legacy will be that they helped take, along with Messi, helped take MLS, Inter Miami, and make it more of a global brand of soccer than anything else. I mean, they could win, they may not win, but I think overall this could be, if Miami doesn't win, a bigger win for MLS just in general.
It's already a win overall, and you're right for the league. What the league really needs is to Messi to walk in, dominate, the team win, the team become like the best team, and every single time they have a match, someone's trying to knock them off.
Right.
That will get people, because then you'll have...
Make them the evil empire.
Make them the Yankees.
Make them the Yankees.
Make them Notre Dame.
Yes.
Make them Jimmy Johnson's Hurricanes back in the late 80s, and then the Canes in the early 90s. You either love them,
hate watch them,
or you hate them, but either way you're paying attention. If they could do that, then it's a huge win, as big as you can get for everybody, for the franchise, for the owners, and obviously for the league, because as you say, and by the way, for Messi, not that he needs the cash, but it's an unprecedented deal that a player gets part of the TV revenue. Now, the MLS, for people that don't know, kind of had an unprecedented deal in sports. They sold all of their rights to Apple, so all of the games are on Apple Plus, but he gets a piece of every kit that's sold. He gets a piece of the franchise, and he gets a piece, and I guess he should, because he's the product, he's the number one guy. He gets a piece of every single subscription that anybody pays for to watch MLS on Apple Plus. It's genius for him, and I also wonder, Mike, does it start filtering into other sports? Do other sports, do guys like the, LeBrons and Pat Mahomes say, you know what? I'm not going to play unless I get A, B, C, and D. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
It's the Michael Jordan Nike deal.
There you go. Dolores Jordan really is mom.
Yes, of course. Of course, now you need money whenever you're going to go to Publix too, right? So he's going to have plenty of it. But
hanging out in Publix.
We got to see Messi in Publix this week. A whole lot of cereal.
I like the cereal, by the way.
What do you think of the? What do you think of the order?
I think he's got the cinnamon toast crunch in there, doesn't he? I enjoy the cinnamon toast crunch.
Mini wheats. I think we're looking at maybe
Did you have Lucky Charms?
Lucky Charms.
Yeah, that's Lucky
or
Charms.
Fruit Loops.
They're magically delicious.
Yeah.
I love the Fruit Loops. I haven't had them since I'm 11, but I like the Fruit Loops.
I don't believe that.
Fruit Loops?
I see you as a big cereal guy.
Frosted Flakes. Tony the Tiger right here. But cut a little banana in. See, I could go to Messi's for breakfast if he's buying all that. He'd invite me over.
Maybe that's what he's doing.
We could do a Game Changer show from his house.
You want to openly invite him to do Game Changers? Just come on in.
Well, I'm sure he's got enough invites for enough stuff to do. By the way, they said that the that picture that we just saw of Messi in Publix was worth I don't know how they figure this out.
Yeah.
$3.3 million of advertising for free.
Yes.
For Publix supermarkets.
Publix, and I think it was High Noons, the drink behind the guy who took a selfie with him.
Okay.
And there's just a wall of them.
Is that amazing?
That's amazing. You know, those guys just, I mean, anything this guy does turns to money. All right, Goldie, still got more to come here on Game Changers. We're going to pivot back to the Dolphins and the NFL. Hey, training camp's opening up soon, so why not talk about these guys?
Let's go.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Game Changers. Next week, we're going to see the Dolphins on the practice field. But first, Tua Tagovailoa, Dolphins QB, visiting Edison, spending a little time in the community there at the high school, hanging out, throwing passes to both boys and girls, giving speeches. I could use a pep talk right now. That's why we have Steve Goldstein in the house.
Come on, Mike. Host the show. Let's go.
To get us ready for Dolphins training camp. By the way, rookies have already reported to camp for the Miami Dolphins. But next Wednesday, we're finally going to see these guys in training camp. And then the season's going to come faster than we can ever imagine. And speaking of fast, Tyreek Hill, he's already making some really big predictions for the season for the Dolphins. Goldie, he's thinking he's getting 2,000 yards. He's putting his name on it. Is it possible?
Sure, it's possible. Oh, 1,000% it's possible. Now, he's got to be out there. Tua's got to be out there. Nothing against Mike White and Skylar Thompson. But this offense has to be humming on all cylinders. He was pacing the first half of last year to do just that. So I think clearly he's got a shot to do it. We talked about it last year when he came in. He said Tua's the best quarterback. Now he's the most accurate quarterback. I think Tyreek Hill, like we talked about with Messi, he walks on that practice field, it raises the whole level. It raises the intensity. It raises everybody's expectations. I think Tyreek Hill, both obviously his production, but from all the other standpoint and the intangibles, has been phenomenal for this franchise and for every single player and every coach on this team. Because when great players come in and they work and Tyreek Hill, I can't believe how hard he works in practice and in training camp. Even last year, we were saying, hey, he needs to back off. He's got 17 games to play.
Doing backflips and stuff,
For the fans, he wants to be out there all the time. So I think it's great that he's thrown it out there. And yes, I do think everything's got to go right, but it's possible.
No one's ever done it before. Calvin Johnson the closest, so we'll see if it happens. Okay, let's talk about the running backs a little bit, because we have been talking a lot about Dalvin Cook and the Dolphins, but some other running back news in the NFL this week. Running back Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing last year, Tony Pollard, who was very good for the Cowboys, all got franchise tag. None of them signed it. It seems like they're not getting long-term deals from their teams, at least at the money and the value that they want. Why aren't the running backs valued as highly anymore, especially when they're at this level of running back?
Well, first off, you can blame the teams that win. Blame the Kansas City Chiefs. They just rotate them. There's a few other teams.
Right.
Teams win without going all in with one running back and paying that running back a lot of money. So the bottom line is, whether they're right or wrong, and you talk about Twitter, get all these former NFL running backs always making their comments, hey, the runners need to get paid, and current. And they, of course, they should say that.
Yes.
But teams have proven in this league, and sports is all copycat. If something works for you, someone else is going to try it. Teams have proven that you can win without paying that running back big money, and you can continue to be competitive, make the playoffs, be a Super Bowl contender without giving one guy the huge long-term contract. And that's why it's happening. I'm not saying it's right, but that's clearly the reason it's happening.
You're right, but I want to push back on this so much because I think you can win with a consistent good running game, but doesn't mean you need a really good running back to do it, because you look at, like, the Dolphins had a good running game last year, but you look at the Tennessee Titans, they're competitive every year, partly because of what Derrick Henry can do. The thing about winning without a running game is you have to have that unicorn quarterback. Right, that Tom Brady.
No, you can have running
Patrick
backs,
Mahomes.
but you can have running backs that come in that are productive.
Right.
That you just have them productive for 2 or 3 years at a lesser price, and then you bring somebody else in to do it. I think you can win like that. Yes,
but they valued these guys to draft them high enough to think. We need them because this is how our running game will be.
Well, in most cases, the person making the decision for the team now is not the guy that drafted him.
Sure.
The Giants general manager from Buffalo, he didn't draft Saquon Barkley at the top of the draft. So most often, that's going on because these are teams that draft high that don't win. So the previous regime picks the running back. The new guys come in and say they don't want to do it. Now, I would say this to you, and you make that point. It's legitimate. I think you need the unicorn gray quarterback regardless
no matter what,
of whether you're paying the running back $1 million or $12 million. You need that quarterback, and that's what these teams figure. Let's spend it on the quarterback. Let's spend it on the tackle that's protecting the quarterback. Let's spend it on the corners, on defense, and the pass rushers. We can find someone if the holes are big enough. Hey, you look at the Dolphins last year. The only thing wrong with the Dolphins' running game last year, and they didn't spend big money on it, is that they just didn't do it enough.
Right.
They had the second less attempts.
They got away from it.
But they could have, and look at the value they got with Raheem and Jeff Wilson. They got great value.
Two teams that don't have unicorn quarterbacks, both the Giants and the Raiders. So why not pay these guys? All right, more to come on Game Changer.
Trying to get everybody paid.
The South Florida pecking order of sports teams when we come back. All right, let's wrap things up here on Game Changers. Let's talk about the South Florida pecking order, because so very often we talk about, is this a football town? Is this a basketball town? Goldie, are we about to become a soccer town? And where would you put Inter Miami in terms of popularity of the teams, of the pro teams, maybe even throw in the Hurricanes football team? Where would you put them in that pecking order?
Well, clearly they're right, at or near the top right now. Now we have to make sure we all say this. Messi just got here, and no one else is playing games.
Sure.
So let's say that, except for the Marlins, of course, which have gotten popular, but here out of the All-Star break, I don't know what happened. That's a whole nother subject. Seem to barely win a game now. But I think Messi is right there. But I don't know if the team is.
Yeah.
I think people are going to pay attention to him, but if they don't win, it just becomes about him, and I wonder how long in our market that really lasts. If he plays great, sure, he's right up there, but I would still maintain, and I've been saying this for decades, if the Miami Dolphins get good enough and the Dolphins are in a Super Bowl, to me, everything else will pale in comparison, and I still believe that.
And when the Hurricanes are good, too, they're as high as 2, sometimes even 1 on that list in this town. It's really
That's been a while, too.
Just win, baby.
That's
all. Just win, baby. You'll be up there at number 1. All right, for Steve Goldstein, I'm Mike Cunha. Thanks for watching another edition of Game Changers. See you next week.